Okay, so we are in office hours, May of 2021, and we're going to play with features for Drupal 9. So that's the intro for this video. Woohoo. All right, so features. Somebody's just go ahead, and I've got a pretty vanilla Drupal 9 site installed as minimal, so there's not a whole lot of modules enabled, but up and running locally. So config update base mod. Okay, so that's a core module as well that minimal doesn't enable. All right, so Matt, your situation was we've got a content type that, so here, let me just make sure I have this right. I lost all of your heads as usual. There we go. All right, so you've got a content type that, let's say, is deployed to 10 other sites. And you want to potentially deploy a new field to half of those sites, but maybe not the other half. Is that like the simplest use case for what you're trying to do?
That is about the simplest.
All right, so let's do this. So I already have a movie content type, and it's got some fields, and I don't even know if I have this in. Do I have this in? Anybody remember? I have config. Oh yeah, because we did config. Okay, so let me do this. So config is already set up here. Actually, I have config split. This is all from last week. So core, yeah. So I'm just going to, I think I'm just going to export all of this as is, including features being enabled. Look, I have mat split. What's in mat? Did I put anything in mat split last week?
I think that's where we tried looking at the config YAML files to see how the fields were added.
I don't think we got anything in there yet, right? No, there's nothing in there yet. Oh no, there is. All right, so no, we're not going to do. We're not going to use this for config split. Actually, here we're going to do two things. We're going to do that, and then I'm also going to go ls dash. Well, yeah, I don't want it active anywhere. Websites default settings .local. Oh, geez. Pico, all that. Websites default settings .local. Go to the bottom. Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to, let's make sure that this is not enabled, just so we're not. And I don't really care about the local development split. That can keep on doing what it's doing. Oh, permission denied. Oh, because I shouldn't be angry about that. Because yesterday we talked about protecting your settings.php file. So this settings.php file is protected. So let me just chmod u plus write. So I'm going to undo that. Web sites default settings.local. Okay, go back and pico that again. Go to the bottom. Okay. All right. So now if I reload this, actually, I don't even want that page. I want this. Yeah, okay, so that's inactive. So come over here. Yeah, this is because I enabled a couple modules. This I changed. I guess I did something to that, but yeah, let me just export all this. Tdev drush config export. All right, so what we're going to say by doing this is we're basically saying what we have now, that is the base. That's the base install that everybody has. Git status, git add config, composer.json, composer.lock, and vendor. Oh, we're ignoring vendor. Okay. Git status. Why do I have an SSH directory in there? No, whatever. All right, git commit. But let's call this base site install. All right, so that's the base. And that gets launched to, Matt uses this config and this code base or this, composer stuff for 10 other sites. But then Matt gets a great idea and he says, oh, I'm going to be able to charge $10 more a month with this new feature. And this new feature involves adding what field? Oh, look, it's a field map. Should have used that one, but whatever. We'll call this the box office gross, since it is a movie content type. And because I'm a one-trick pony when it comes to my sample nodes. All right, so we want this to be the new functionality that not everyone's going to get, but Matt wants to be able to pick and choose who's going to get this new thing. All right, so what structure, where's that? Configure, development, features, okay. So what we were talking about last week was maybe we put the storage in the base, and then we put the instance in the feature. Right? I think we were talking about that, right, Matt? Yes.
That was one of the topics.
All right. So I'm still interested in seeing if that's even possible. So let's try. So those of you, just in case, because I jumped a couple steps here. When you create a new field, as we just did, there are two parts to that field configuration. There is the storage part of it. So think of this as kind of like the low-level configuration for the field, how the data for that field is stored in the database, right? I mean, we're not even going to look at the config, but there's a storage aspect of it. And because fields can be shared, because you can put one field in multiple content types, each time you add that field to a content type, you get the instance. And I know this doesn't say instance, but this has movie. So this is where we're tying this field, to this content type, right? So notice this, the storage is just a storage. It's basically the node storage for this field. There's nothing about the movie content type in here. So if we were to add the box office gross field to the test content type, we wouldn't get a new storage configuration, but we would get a new instance configuration. All right, so anytime you add a field, there is storage and the instance. There's also this stuff up here, which now that this is all coming back to me. So these are the changes to the two view modes and the form mode for the content type to which we've added the field. So the question is, where do we put these? Well, because these do have information specific to the field, right there, I feel like these should probably go with the instance. So but if we put them with the instance, yeah, see, this is where we have a problem. Because if we put them with the instance, then the base, well, I don't want to say the instance. Let me, if we put this configuration in the feature, then it probably won't be in the main site, but I'm going to try that anyway, just to see. Okay, so hold on. Is that one of you? Okay, all right. But so what I'm gonna, well, here, you know what? Let's create the simplest case first. Let's just put everything in the feature. Let's do that first. Features. And features is or was in Drupal 7 and before a way to take some configuration and put it somewhere else so that you can turn different things on and off. So the following packages, what is all this? Not exported. These are entities. I'm going to create a new one. I don't know what that is down there. All right, so general information, this is going to be the box office gross feature. Super gross, that's why I use 3. The bundle, I guess that. Okay, so path, sure, let's put in features. Features, mark all config. Required config will be assigned this feature regardless of other assignment plugins. All right, I'm just going to leave, I'm going to leave default values for now. So notice like even field storage and field instance are separated here. So let's do field storage, box office gross. Oh, okay. So it went and it actually auto selected the form display, the view displays, the instance, and all right. So let me just, I'm going to write this, which should put it in the feature. Okay. Yeah. So a feature is basically just a module when it comes down to it. So let's take a look at it. Web modules, features. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to have its own feature. So hold on. Back here. I want to edit that. Modules, features, box office gross. A box office cross. Ugh.
That's all right.
Yeah, I can change it. Where did it go?
Did you hit right again?
I thought I did. All right, hold on. Let me rm-rf web modules features. All right, I'm gonna start over. Features. All right, should be gone now. Create new feature. I'm gonna click this first because that took a moment. Box office gross. All right, so we're going to write that out. Oh, damn it. That's the danger of me hitting the up arrow. I actually just deleted it again instead of LSing into it. Can I just do this again? Will that work? Oh, no, I didn't want to do that because I didn't have the path right. Oh my God, what a mess. I love it. As soon as I start recording, everything just goes sideways for me lately. Okay, one more time. Field storage, box office gross. Okay, while that's doing its thing, box office gross. Features, box office gross. Right. Okay. So now we come here. Do not. Okay, that's what I wanted. Fine. Okay, so. All right, so we have a new directory in our modules directory called features. This is where I'm going to put all the features. We have our first feature called box office gross. And, you know, it's got an info.yaml file. That's not going to look any different. It's still just going to be a module. So we'll cat it out. Cat web modules features box Office gross info. All right, so it's a module and it's got a bunch of dependencies based on the stuff that we added to the feature. Then we got this YAML file that describes the feature, the metadata, I believe. Okay, and all we got in there is a required true. It's true, so not a whole lot of metadata. But then the action is inside the config directory because everything we selected is just config. And really features are generally just config. I guess you could put some custom code in there, but. So it's config install. So config install basically means that when you enable the feature, when you go to like the modules page, I guess I don't think you can do it from here, right? Can you enable a feature from here? No, so there is no, I think I actually have to go to the extend page and enable it because the feature is nothing more than a module. Right. So if I were to select this and hit install, any configuration in this directory gets imported. So this is the case where the configuration system in Drupal 8.9 is all or nothing. Features allow you to do a little bit. So let's see what's in there. So here is, our 5 configurations that, if I enable this, are going to be pulled in. Before I do that though, so we have this stuff exported. So here's what I want to do. I actually want to do a config import at this point. So theoretically, if I do a config import, I'm going to lose my box office gross field. But that's kind of what I want. I want to lose it so that when I enable the feature, I want to see if it comes back. All right, so now, oops, I didn't mean to go to people. So configuration was clean. I'm just going to go back there and just, configuration is clean. We still have our feature and all of its config. The feature has not yet been enabled. So if we go to movie content type, we should not see box office gross, and we do not. Now, the question is, can we enable the feature and have everything be fine? Let's find out. Okay. So far, so good. I guess the real question is the configuration page going to be cool with this? No. Yeah, so this
No, that's
becomes
right.
a problem. Well, it is,
No,
but
that's exactly what it was before you imported the old configuration and then enable the modules.
right, but ideally, so here'd be the ideal situation for me. Ideally, when we visit this page takes into account what's in config sync as well as what's in enabled features.
Well, but you have made changes and you haven't exported those changes. So it would be just like if you enabled commerce, you would get a difference in your configuration.
Yeah, but I guess in my head, this would be cleanest if our features aren't overridden and nothing in our config sync directory has been overridden, then this should be clean.
But your config has been overridden.
Well, but the combination of the config sync directory and what the features providing.
So my question is, re-import your configuration, or yeah, that should disable the module as well.
Yeah, it absolutely will because of this.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So let's reset.
But what I'm saying is, so the problem with this, the way things are right now, is let's say you make a configuration change that you need to roll out to everybody. You can't really do it because as soon as you hit that config import button, you're disabling all of your features.
I don't see how that's different than enabling any other module.
Well, it's the same if you want to enable the module on all of your sites. So let's say, okay, hold on, let's go back a second. And I hope this conversation, more people are getting something out of this than just Matt and I. Well, I'm not even sure if Matt and I are getting anything out of it, so we might all be in the same boat. So let's say, you decide you update 5 sites, and you update half of your sites with this feature. You enable this feature, and now half of your sites have the ability to add box office gross.
Right.
Right. And that's chugging along for, like, say, a month. After a month, you decide that, oh, here's a good example. There's an update to the meta tag module that you want to roll out to all of your sites. And that update includes a configuration change. So the way this is set up right now, you would actually have to go to each of your 10 sites, pull in the meta tag module, enable it, and then the question is, how do you get your configuration for that into, like, the base config? You can't really, because as soon as if you export, if we make a change to, like, the meta tag module, which isn't installed, that's going to appear on this page. And if we try and export that config, we're getting all of the config from the feature in the base as well.
I'm still not seeing how that's different from literally every other module.
Well, I just think it would be advantageous for you to be able to, rather than have to go out to all of the 10 sites for that meta tag update, to update just your base site, export the updated config to your base site, commit that, pull that updated config into all 10 of your sites, and then hit this button, which you would not be able to do, because as soon as you hit this button, yes, you're going to get the new meta tag, config update, but you're going to unset all of your features.
Yeah, I don't know why once, if you make a change to a site, regardless if it's a feature or some other module or whatever, and you're satisfied, you're not exporting that configuration to set it. Because, every site's going to be a little bit different. And so they're all going to have a little bit different configuration.
All right,
There's
so
no way.
I guess what you're saying is then there is not going to be a use case where you want to push out a new configuration to all 10 sites via Git.
No, here's my use case. Re-import to reset.
Yep.
This is the situation that I run into. Now go to your movie content type. Delete a field, add a field, just make it different. Now try to enable the feature and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
That's my issue.
Yep.
7 did not do this. 7, you
Yep.
could export instances and import them in to another site, and it didn't matter what the configuration was because it was only doing the information.
Well, but this makes sense because this, it would fail for the form display and the 2 view displays.
Sure, but that's feature sucks in Drupal 9. That was my point. It doesn't work the same as it did in 7.
Well, I think that's a result of dependencies being checked more rigorously.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I think it was trying to leverage using the config system instead of exporting the information and then recreating the instance as it need to. I think they tried to take a shortcut.
Yeah, so what's happening, so the reason why we're getting this error
Right.
is
Yep.
because the configuration that we're trying to enable includes field mat, and field mat is no longer there. So
Right. So really all I see features as now is just a glorified UI for config split. I mean, really, because as a feature,
yeah,
it should be able to add in functionality. It shouldn't have to match, it's so that goes full
well, okay,
circle
but
back
hold
to
on.
what you said.
Okay, I'm willing to entertain the possibility of that being true. Here's what I want to look at though. There was an option here. Well, let me reset things. Well, actually, I don't. No, I do want to reset everything. Let me just do it over here.
And so really, I think you could build your feature and take the YAML files out of that config install folder, paste them into your config directory, and you get the exact same results as if you enable the module.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'll say the one small advantage of using it as a feature is because it's a custom module, you can associate code and hooks with that feature, with that configuration. So that's one advantage. So what I wanted to look at though is this checkbox. What? Package contains configuration missing from the site.
Probably the field we deleted.
I just imported.
Oh.
I wonder if that's like a cache issue. What's changed?
See, give me enough rope, I will absolutely tangle myself up.
What is all this? What?
Just remember, computers do exactly what you tell them to.
What the heck? Bundled. Well, that's what I'm, what is all this? Detect and add existing package modules. Exclude configuration items from packaging by various methods, including configuration. This looks like this lets you do a lot of stuff when you're. Are they using the word package here as instead of feature?
I'm not sure.
Look, you can have optional. So what happens like if you, what's the configuration for this? For example, if views are selected as optional, views assigned to any feature will be exported to the config option directory and will not create a dependency on the views module. Will not create a dependency on the views module. I think there's a lot of flexibility here, but I do not know enough about this yet.
I think I've just come to the conclusion when I need to do what I would like to do, I need to just write a module that will create the base field and
In
attach
code.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be worth your time. I don't know if there's documentation on this, but these configuration bundles. So basically we would want, for something like this example, for this field, it's an issue because other dependencies are in this particular case, the view modes. So would any of these allow us to get around that? That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around.
The view mode and the form mode.
Right, right. For example, okay, we did that one. What's like a forward dependency? Add depending on which items.
It's also kind of interesting that those seem to be draggable so you
Yeah.
can set the sequence.
It feels like a pipeline. It is a pipeline, I bet. Let me just check. I want to check the Drupal.org/project/features. I wonder if there's like decent documentation on that.
You and your read the manual.
We're using 3.x.
Create and configure feature bundles.
A set of features that share a common namespace. Custom. All right, so we probably should have created something. All right. Okay, this is very, we need examples. Examples of these things. The idea is out-of-the-box feature 3 should come pre-configured to automatically produce well-designed features. However, the plugins are all right, I'm not going to sit here and read this, but
yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah, I would say that it's worth. I think it's worth the read if you're, especially for you, Matt. Gaps. It's gaps. No, there's no more gaps. Everything's solved. Fantastic. No, these are both going to be very old. Yeah, this is a hard one to even like wrap your head around, you know? Because basically you want a feature that when enabled, it adds configuration to a particular configuration file.
Yeah, almost like modify existing configuration instead of replacing.
Yeah, or merge
Configuration.
to, or yeah, something like that. Right, because we don't need all of, well, where is it? Yeah, we don't need this whole configuration in the feature. We just need, you know, wherever it went, where is it? We just need this bit in the feature
Right.
with the weight value. We need like a partial configuration, but I don't know if that's like a thing, you know? That's kind of what I was trying to figure out as we were looking, like exclude base type. Like alter, that was hopeful, but it's only, you know, those few options.
Yeah, I think that's more macro level.
Yeah.
But let me interject too that you may want to include some of the config on all of the sites, like the database part of it. Because
sure. Yeah.
what happens if you've got 5 out of 10 sites that have it, and then a sixth site wants it slightly different? And now your whole config is just getting so complex with what goes out to what site, et cetera.
So what are you saying? Are you just throwing an additional monkey wrench so Matt can never achieve his goals?
No, I really think what needs to happen is just lots of very small modules that
You're going to get really good at, you know, creating fields on the fly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more that like the database type functionality should be on the sent everywhere, but like the display portion would be the part that you'd be enabling feature by feature.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. If you know, if you have the configs for
Now, we're going to hit the same problem we just had.
a field, but then it's not attached to anything, will the system just purge it out?
It doesn't matter. We're gonna have this. You're gonna have the same. You know, for what David said, it doesn't matter because if you have this stuff on, you know, in the base distribution, and you have just the display stuff in the features, you're gonna have the same problem because this display stuff has all of the fields.
Right.
So if you just want to enable one of the fields and you try to import this, you know, yeah, it's like a partial config issue.
Yeah. So for example, if we just did like the field node movie, field box office gross YAML, and field storage node, field box office gross YAML, but none of that core stuff was anywhere in the site config, what would Drupal even do with that?
Well, here, let's do this. I'm going to manually delete these 3 files from the feature, and then I'm going to try and turn on the feature.
Well, what if you had the field displayed, but as a hidden field, and then the feature that you added was to move it into the display portion?
I think part of the problem is that Matt doesn't always know. You know, this might be something added later. So let me import the, okay, so it's already disabled, right? So I'm going to rm website default, no. Modules, features, box, config, install.
And Matt, it might actually be a hybrid of the config and some kind of a module to enable things.
Entity.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Teaser.
So the fields and stuff with the config, but when you actually add it into some content.
Yeah, that's still the same issue.
All right, so let's see what happens when I enable this feature.
Because could you have 5 config for the 5 sites and 5 config for the other 5 with config split?
No, I'm not going down that road yet. I don't want to even think about this with config split yet. You can do that over the next 6 days and 22 hours, David. We'll talk about it next Thursday. That'll make my brain hurt. All right. So any guesses on what's going to happen? Because all we're going to do is we're going to enable the base field, the instance, but we're not going to bring in any new config for the displays.
Let's see, your site hasn't encountered an error. Is that
Let's see what happens here. Okay, it worked. Oh, look at that. It's not there. That's interesting. So I wonder if we come here, we should see it. I wonder if it's so that's interesting. So
any recent error messages or anything?
hold on. Okay, we're not seeing it there, but config sync says form view mode. It should be there. What's this true? I don't know what that means. What does this mean true?
I think that means it's hidden. Pull that back up again.
Does it?
So if I assume that's
Oh, it's under.
YAML without the correct spacing,
It's under
hidden.
hidden. Yeah. Here, hold on. Do that. SQL Pro. Where's SQL Pro? Where's it coming up? There it is. Config core edit. Oh, this is not helpful. I have to export it, but I don't really want to export it. That's not helpful. Where am I? Get status. Oh, let me export it. I can always. Drush config export. I just want to see it in YAML with the proper indentation. Sure. Status. Okay, catch. Yeah. So let's say you enable the feature, but then you have to come here and all you need to do is, and at that point you got to drag it up. And then on display, yeah, okay. But at this point, like your config is all out of whack, right? Like you're never like as soon as you enable that feature, it's like you're done with the config system. Well, you're done with you're done with the well, let me put it this way. As soon as you enable a feature, the config for each site becomes its own thing.
Config for each site's going to be its own thing anyways.
All right, well, then this might be a path forward. So your path forward then could be, so let me just do this. Let me just do a git status, git restore config. Git status. Okay, those are hanging out there. That's okay. So when you create the feature, and again, I think we're still missing probably some opportunities with those bundles. Oh, look at that. It's no longer. So here, I'm actually going to delete that. How can I do this? I want to RM these two real quick. Then I want to do config import again. I want to reset things. Oh, which one do I need? This one? Oh, gosh. Okay, git status. Dev drush config import. All right, I just want to get back to where we started. So we should have no box office gross. And I even want to go so far, I want to RM RF our feature. Okay, so now we don't have any features. I'm going to recreate that feature. Are we okay on time? Where's the clock? Oh, we're almost done. Oh, my wife is texting me. Hang on 1 second. I have like 4. Whoa. Okay, sorry. Someone's offering to buy my Jeep, Matt. The one that you call not a real Jeep.
It's not a real Jeep.
It's a 5-speed. It's a 5-speed Cherokee. There are not that many of them. This is like the 3rd offer I've had. It's 21 years old. And someone's offering me way more than Blue Book. So consider that. All right. Create a new feature. Okay, let's try this again. Box office gross. So what I want to do is I basically just want to say, I want the, well, let's just say, oh shoot, I got to add the stupid field again.
So are you trying to sell it?
No, I've always thought I would keep it until it dies because I love it so much. It's my favorite.
How are you getting offers on it? People just walking by and leaving a note? I want to buy
My
it.
wife is gonna, she's thinking about taking it to Mississippi. And actually, my brother-in-law lives in Mississippi. We're thinking about leaving it there for the summer. She's bringing the dog to Mississippi as well while we're homeless. So she was out getting tires on it and an oil change, and one of the mechanics.
Wow.
Every time she keeps on posting on Craigslist in the hopes.
Hey, that's not true.
It's on eBay Motors.
It's the first new car I've ever bought. And
You know what? My Jeep is the first new car I ever bought.
oh yeah?
Yeah.
Bought it.
And what's sad is it was only 3 years ago.
Ah. No, I bought this one new in 1997. Fall. It was the first of the 98s.
Well, if it's not a real Jeep, what is it?
It's a Wrangler. I mean, no, it's not a Wrangler.
It's not a Wrangler.
It's a Cherokee. So Matt feels that unless it's a
Ah,
Wrangler, it's not a
Got
real
it. The Cherokee.
Only one owner should increase its value too.
Yeah, so Matt, I think as long, for fields at least, I think you just have to be aware of like what, where your dependency issues might come in. I mean, if I uncheck those, it will let me create this feature. And then here, let's just run through. All right, so then if I do an ls-al web modules, features, box, config, and box office box. What did I do there?
I got you talking about your Jeep.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go. So, I mean, this should pass all of our tests now. So we should be able to come here and enable this. Well, here, let me just do a config import first. Pdev drush config import -y. Oh my God, this has been, I was telling my students yesterday, is anyone still here? Brett, oh, Terry's still here. This has been a very expensive few days for me because I've got new tires on the Jeep and my son is getting all 4 of his wisdom teeth out tomorrow.
Oh,
All of this just happening in the past like 48 hours.
Yikes.
He's been in pain.
Your ice cream bill's gonna go up.
All right, so movie should no longer have box office. It doesn't. Box office box. What did I must have put something weird in the path field, but oh well. Okay, so all right. Well, before I enable that, I want to modify the structure, right, Matt?
yeah.
Okay, so let's get rid of field Matt, which is part of the base. Delete that. Now let's go and enable box up. So there you go. I mean, it's better than it was 15 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
absolutely.
But we have to, you'd still have to come over and enable them on your displays. And honestly, if you have 7 features that all provide fields, you're probably going to have to reorder them anyway.
Yeah.
So these view modes and form modes might change anyway. So what did we learn? We learned there's a path forward as long as you only, for fields at least, as long as the feature only includes field config and not the view mode config. We also learned that features for Drupal 8, this whole configure your bundle stuff, what was it called? Bundle package assignment, no, configuring creating bundles, package assignment. This is all new.
Yes, it is.
And there's potential there because, so here's what I'm thinking, Matt. They're called plugins. You might be able to write your own plugin. So
Yeah.
I think it's worth investigating what exactly these configuration bundles can do for you. Because maybe, I get you're coming from as far as just moving it to code. But there might be an opportunity if you can write a custom bundle on plugin, bundle plug, whatever these things are called.
Right.
That gets you over any humps. Features might be able to work for you. All right, there you go. I think we're done.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
So of course, you're welcome to stop the recording here. I'll get this posted. I'm probably not going to do it tonight, to be honest with you. All right.